go ahead and get started. So again, thank you so much for spending a part of your day with LinkedIn. My colleagues and I are really excited to talk to you about some new products that were either recently introduced to our platform or will soon be introduced to our platform. And in product speak, soon is a very relative term. So just keep that in mind as you see some of the dates that some of these new features will be rolled out. But today, well, first, my name is Monica Dudosky, and I'm a lead client solutions manager here at LinkedIn. I've been at LinkedIn for a couple of years on the education vertical, and now I'm focused specifically on the EdTech vertical with my colleagues, Maddie Gordon, Marley Tumpich, and Dylan Ferber. Today, we're going to walk you through some best practices as well as some new product features, and we're so glad you could join us. And just one note, as I mentioned before, this meeting is going to be recorded. So if you're comfortable with your camera on, leave it on. If you want it off, totally fine. You can turn it off. But we do want you to be interactive. So we will have some questions kind of sprinkled throughout the presentation today for an opportunity to win some LinkedIn swag. And so we ask that you leverage the chat to, answer the questions, and the first person to put their answer in the chat will win a fabulous prize. Barbara doesn't know this, but she was the first one to log into today's webinar, so she automatically wins prize. So again, thank you so much for joining, and we'll go ahead and get started. Dylan's going to kick us off.
Awesome. Thank you, Monica, and hello, everyone. So before we jump into some product updates, I wanted to share some real quick highlights as to where we are today as a platform. So I'll run through these stats real quick for you. As of today, and this is updating constantly, we have 774 million members globally, with 2 new members joining every 60 seconds. So pretty incredible growth. And within that member set, we have 120,000 schools represented, 58 million companies, 38,000 skills, and we have over 20 million jobs listed on the platform. And lastly, we see over 20 billion updates viewed. And what this means is that within the feed, 20 billion different posts are being viewed by our members annually. So some pretty staggering numbers, and these are hard to keep up to date just because of the rapid growth we're seeing on the platform. And as a result of this growth, we're investing a lot in our product suite, and we have a lot of great enhancements coming. So with that, Monica, if you could advance to the next screen, we'll take you through some highlights. So the way we do things at LinkedIn in terms of product is we bucket everything into categories. So we'll give you a bit of a category, and then we'll go through some of the specifics within. So the first is build your brand's community on LinkedIn. So like members, organizations come to LinkedIn with a multitude of objectives in mind, whether it's attracting talent, educating prospects, building customer advocacy, or retaining employees. And all of these objectives are centered around fostering communities. So today I want to highlight a few products on the roadmap within this pillar. If you can go back one more. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'll run through these real quick for you. So event analytics is the first one. So we're making a lot of big strides in our events platform. And the first one is going to give you aggregated visits, attendance, and engagement, as well as firmographic data on your LinkedIn event. So historically, you were a little bit blind as to what was happening within once you set your event live. Now we're rolling out full transparency so you can see exactly what's happening. Next up, and we'll touch on this in just a little bit, but we're rolling out event ads so you can get in front of the right professionals with targeted paid promotion. Again, historically, just so you have the update here, historically you had to create your own ads or promote this on your own channels. But now we have a formal feature rolling out that will allow you to promote the ads, and visually they look really nice. Next up is event post boosting, so you can quickly promote your organic posts with paid spend in just a few clicks. And again, this isn't a new feature. You've always been able to do this within Campaign Manager, but we're now rolling out the feature where you can sponsor it directly from the company page feed. So just making that process a bit easier. And lastly, what we're calling registration form V2, you're now going to be able to integrate registration forms with your CRM or marketing automation system to manage your lead information. Yeah. So again, one of the last missing pieces to really have a cohesive event strategy on the LinkedIn platform. Next slide. So next up, we're enhancing the LinkedIn Live experience. So a few cool updates here. The first is that live broadcasts will now render at the top of your LinkedIn page, which should give you maximum visibility and ultimately more people within your stream. And second, we're rolling out easier access to LinkedIn Live. So in the past, you had to have a pretty large page following in order to qualify for this feature. We're bringing this down to 150 page followers. So even for those small schools or education technology brands out there, you now have the capability to go live. Just contact whichever rep you work with that's on this call today, and we'll be able to whitelist your campaign for live. So the next bucket that we'll talk about is bolstering trust and brand safety. So we're at LinkedIn committed to maintaining a safe, trusted, and professional community on LinkedIn that allows our over 770 million members to engage in thoughtful and honest discussion. And one of our core values has always been to put the needs of our customers first. And this value unites our company and drives us to remain worthy of the trust our members place in us every day. So with that, I want to highlight a few focus areas within this pillar. So on advertiser trust, we'll continue to address concerns on invalid traffic, ad fraud, brand safety, but to highlight a few others, we historically have held our own internal audit of our platform, but we will be expanding this further to provide industry-leading ad transparency through an accreditation, through MRC, or through the MRC. And recently, we just completed our pre-audit with Deloitte to certify our impression and click metrics according to the MRC standards. And lastly, while we adhere to IAB standards in reporting and measuring views, impressions, and clicks, and we also enable block listing on LinkedIn Audience Network, which is now leveraging standard IAB categories. We're also rolling out additional options for accountability. So these are some of the sample partners on the right here that we now have rolled out to our platform for more transparent measurement and tracking. Next up is the LinkedIn Audience Network. So this has been a feature around for quite a while, but we're investing in providing greater transparency within the LinkedIn Audience Network. And in order to maintain our brand safety standards from the LinkedIn feed, we're working with Pixelate and with IAS to automatically filter publishers at a brand protection and a contextual brand safety level. And the next category, before I hand this off to Monica, is deliver and demonstrate value. So we seek to help agencies and customers deliver and demonstrate value. And we ultimately want to make it easy for agencies and customers to tap into the communities that they've built around their brand and to grow their businesses. And this pillar is all about helping brands drive the best value from our platform. And it includes products that will help customers reach professional audiences, engage those audiences with compelling experiences, and optimize their spend and effort for the best ROI, both across paid and organic. So the first big enhancement here is company engagement reporting. So to realize value successfully from an account-based marketing strategy, marketing needs to deliver actionable insights to sales. And account engagement scoring, which is now live on the platform, enables marketers to receive reports in Campaign Manager that showcases valuable ABM metrics. And this will include stuff like companies most ready to be contacted by sales and the engagement score of buyer audiences broken down by company. And we're also continuing to invest in this feature in the coming months with the Match tab. So this tab shows you the companies we were able to match to a company page, so you know which accounts are reachable by a campaign. And lastly, CRM integration, which will showcase the sales impact columns. And this will enable you to monitor advertising impact to your sales pipeline. And with Audience Insights in Campaign Manager, you'll be able to plan, manage, and learn about your audiences to successfully execute on your marketing goals. So a few features that will be rolled into Audience Insights include the ability to see the demographic composition of all your audiences, including matched audiences, which is a pretty awesome update. And you'll be able to uncover the content and topics that matter to your audiences, as well as track engagements that your audiences are taking. And this is a really cool feature. It's coming just a little bit later this year, but we just got access to this internally. So if you would like to see a demo, please, again, get in touch with your team, and they'll be happy to walk you through that. So next up is revenue attribution reporting. So this one is pretty early stage, but we did want to highlight this. We're currently working on the revenue attribution report, which will allow you to connect your CRM to our new Business Manager feature. And this will help you understand how your LinkedIn ads are impacting business outcomes across all the advertising accounts you market from. So we're aiming to launch this in Q1 2022. So more info to come on this soon. So next up, what I find most exciting is some new ad formats and placements. So our product teams are working to build a number of enhancements to our ad formats, but these are a few that I found were most exciting and we wanted to highlight. So earlier this year, as we spoke about, we launched a new event ad format to help you promote your events and boost registration. But in the coming months, we'll also launch new ad formats, including document ads. So this will allow you to upload and sponsor your documents, think things like white papers, brochures, case studies, and this new ad format will enable you to drive engagement and leads directly from the LinkedIn feed. And lastly, product ads. So this will allow you to promote product catalogs to personalize to members who are interested in them. So this one is also in very early stages of planning. Don't even have a mock-up or anything to show you just yet, but an exciting update to look forward to in the coming year. And a few other measurement enhancements. So two features that recently launched are, the first is a brand lift study. So this one is very cool. This is a native report on LinkedIn, which allows you to determine campaign impact for specific brand metrics. We're lowering the minimum spend threshold on this, and this is going to be pretty turnkey in the platform. When it launches, it's just a bit delayed, but you will see it in the platform very soon. We're also launching what we're calling offline conversions. It's through an API integration, and this will allow you to connect offline conversions to measure the full impact of your LinkedIn spend. And lastly, also a teaser, because this one is a bit delayed, but we're launching a new conversion tracking UI that enhances the setup process. So this enables you to easily track conversions on-site and off-site. Again, that second piece is in beta, but we'll be rolling this out platform-wide very soon. So next up, in the home stretch here, bidding, pacing, and optimization updates. So these are pretty cool. The reach optimization is going to allow you to optimize for unique views across your target audience using either single image or video ad formats. So as we know, it takes a certain level of frequency to get your target audience to engage, and this should help us be more efficient in getting to that optimal point of reach. Next up is frequency forecasting. We'll view the average number of times each person will see your ad based on your target audience, start, end date, bid, and budget. This is an enhancement to an existing forecasting tool we offer. And lastly, we'll just offer more comprehensive forecasting before, during, and after your launch. And lastly, in this section, we'll be rolling out formal A/B testing. Some of you may already see this in your account. If you don't, you will soon. But this allows you to compare performance of two campaigns that differ by one variable, so ultimately identify a winner using statistically significant data. And lastly, you'll be able to optimize your campaigns. This, again, is not a new feature, but we'll be rolling out additional optimization tools based off of some of our testing platform. More to come on that. So we're happy to take questions on all of this. There's one more section that Monica is going to take us through, and then if there are questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, or we'll pause for live questions as well.
Thank you so much, Dylan. So now we're going to actually one of my favorite sections of new product enhancements, and that's really making everyone on this call, like making either your jobs easier or the agency partners that you work with easier. We love to field feedback, complaints, constructive criticism from the partners that we work with on how to make using Campaign Manager easier and more efficient to work with. So, a lot of these new updates are coming from either, LinkedIn reps or even, feedback that we've received from customers on, what they would like to see in the platform in order to make it more efficient. So a lot of these new product updates really do relate to productivity as well as efficiency. So the first update is, a couple of changes and updates that are essentially enhancements to what was previously available in Campaign Manager. So you now have the opportunity to actually make deletions in LinkedIn and not just archive. So whether you created an account or a campaign group or a campaign or an ad in error, you will be able to, directly just go ahead and make that deletion. That's a piece of feedback that we received from many different customers, just about a frustration, especially if you are a large advertiser with a number of ads or a number of campaigns. It can get a bit overwhelming to see all of it at once in Campaign Manager. So having that opportunity to just go ahead and delete it and just clear your view in Campaign Manager is an update that we're really excited about. Another product update is the ad level bulk action. So right now in Campaign Manager, you can leverage bulk actions to duplicate campaigns or to make a series of bid adjustments all at once through the upload of a CSV. But now you will have the opportunity, when I say now, I mean calendar year 2022, you will have the opportunity to actually make bulk uploads for ads. So whether that's ad descriptions or titles or URLs, this feature is coming in calendar year 2022. And so as soon as we have additional information about that update and feature, we'll be happy to share it with you. But did want to let you know that there's going to be an addition to just the campaign level bulk uploads, but you'll now be able to do ad level. Next features that we have are related to ad formats. And so one is going to be a media asset library. So having an opportunity to actually store and upload and manage different creative within Campaign Manager is something that we're really looking forward to in 2022. Again, knowing that a lot of advertisers like to do various creative testing and ad variants, being able to just have that repository will definitely make it much easier for future ad testing. Then multi-asset optimization, again, having the opportunity to upload multiple different ads and then allowing the platform to help you test and optimize to the ad creative that is performing best. This is somewhat related to what Dylan was talking about earlier about like optimizing campaigns, but getting a bit more specific and having the opportunity to optimize against the different ad creatives. Creative partnerships. So we know that, ad creative and having images can be a huge roadblock in terms of whether it's getting activated on LinkedIn or furthering your optimizations and your creative testing. But LinkedIn is actually working with third parties such as Shutterstock to allow you to actually be able to access high quality creative images to actually leverage within your campaign. So we know that this is going to be a huge advantage for advertisers that have been a bit limited in terms of their resources or even budget for creative. So again, a very exciting update. And last but not least, a huge request that we get very often is the opportunity to have like a multi-format ad, and rather than having one campaign for a video and one campaign for a single image ad and one campaign for a carousel ad. In 2022, LinkedIn is rolling out the ability to have one ad with multiple formats of sponsored content in one campaign, and then the platform can help optimize to the ad format that is performing the best. So something that we have heard a lot of requests for and are really excited to, again, help make your job that much easier and even managing the campaigns that much easier. Next, another frequently requested product is Business Manager. So Dylan had alluded to Business Manager earlier. And so right now, this is currently in beta with a very small number of agency partners and advertisers. But with Business Manager, agencies, advertisers direct will have the opportunity to manage multiple accounts, multiple company pages, matched audiences, as well as different employees and businesses. We know that one issue that can often come is, whether it's within agencies or with direct companies, there can be some movement, people coming and going and having to remove and add various individuals, and then also not necessarily having your current work email connected to your LinkedIn profile, so you may miss a notification. With Business Manager, it'll make providing access to pages, to accounts themselves much easier, and then also having the ability to layer on your work email address to ensure that you are receiving all of the notifications that you need in order to run your campaigns efficiently. And to close out, we're going to talk about just some expansions to our different marketing partners. So some of these marketing partners may look familiar to you as we've already had relationships with them, but we are currently expanding these relationships. So with Adobe, reporting ROI and different audiences that are available With Zapier, something that we're really excited about is the opportunity to have that integration between your lead registration form and your CRM, as well as a new relationship with MailChimp for lead generation and lead form integration. So I'm going to stop here, and if I could recruit one of my colleagues to view the chat. I feel like it's so awkward to look at the chat while I'm presenting my screen, to go over any questions in just a second. So first we'll do the trivia question, and then we'll have a chance for Q&A. So like I said, the first one to put their response in the chat will be our prize winner. So our question is, what are 2 new products that will help advertisers become more efficient on LinkedIn?
All right, looks like we got an answer here.
All right, Dylan, do you mind reading the answer and who provided it?
Yep, so Tisha, I apologize if I'm saying that wrong, said revenue attribution and bulk ad creation.
Great, thank you so much for your participation. And we will definitely be reaching out so you can select your prize. So before we get to Q&A, I did want to just show you a timeline and what the roadmap looks like in terms of when you can expect some of these new enhancements to the platform. So you'll see that a lot of the organic updates that Dylan had referenced earlier, some had occurred starting in July through the end of this month. Next quarter, we'll see more with the document ads and the audience insights. And then in Q1 of calendar year 2022, you'll start to see Business Manager, the company engagement reporting, and the asset library become available. So before we move on to our next section on best practices for creative, I did want to provide an opportunity for those with questions to have a chance to ask them. So Dylan, were you able to see if there were any questions in the chat?
Yep, so the questions that we have right now are around editing lead gen form ads. So pretty common ask, we do get this all the time. So kind of a 2-part answer. The first one is for lead gen forms itself. As of right now, the way our tech stack is set up, I'll spare you a lot of the details, but basically the integration between LinkedIn and your CRM does not allow editing of the fields because it'll actually interrupt the CRM connection. So it's not us trying to be difficult, it's to ensure the data is properly flowing through to your end. So the workaround there is to duplicate the form if you do need fields edited or to have different information on there. As far as editing ads that are using lead gen forms, we are rolling this out in multiple phases. So we just recently rolled out sponsored content editable lead gen ads, but you can only edit the body copy of the ad. You won't be able to change certain features that are tied to the lead gen form, like the CTA or the form itself, but you can edit that copy. So this is great for people that are doing rotating offers in market or just want to change it up based on seasonality. If there are other areas of the ad that would be helpful that you would like to edit, we're happy to field those requests, whether that's the chat or direct through your account team, and we can kind of bubble those up to product. But full transparency, from what we've heard from engineering, it is a bit of a heavy lift just because there are so many different CRM partners in market. And that was it for questions that we have in the feed. But if there are any other live questions, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask them.
Great. Thank you so much, Dylan. So now I'm going to pass it off to Marley, who is going to walk through some tips and tricks for mastering your creative in our feed.
Thank you, Monica. Hi, everybody. So as Monica just said, now we're going to jump into our top 10 best practices for creatives. So these will be best to keep top of mind, whether you're creating a new campaign or optimizing an existing campaign. So the first tip we have is run 4 variations of content per campaign. So it's ideal to do this so that the platform's algorithm can optimize against the best performing content. It also helps us avoid creative fatigue. So we want to make sure we're tracking the best performing content and further optimizing from there. And so our next tip 2, is align your creative throughout the prospective buyer journey. Strong lead generation relies on a full funnel content strategy. So your content should resonate with the consumer at different stages of their buying journey. It's really important to remember, important to lead with your brand rather than always just trying to focus on lower funnel initiatives. So what this means is if you're ultimately trying to drive conversions or leads, you need to be focusing on a full funnel strategy, which includes, starting at the top with awareness generating content such as ebooks, sponsored content, single image ads, or video ads. Video ads on LinkedIn actually earn about 3 times more engagement than a text ad. So it's just important to keep those things in mind when creating that full strategy. And then from there, work your way down through the nurturing stage and then on to acquisition. So think about what you would want to see if you were the customer at different stages of that journey. So tip 3 is keep it short and sweet. So it's exactly that. Less is more. Get to the point, keep your content under 140 characters. Lead with the end so that you can get them straight to that clear, strong call to action. You want to keep your copy as short as possible so as not to take away from the focus from the image or the video that's in your ad. And so tip number 4 is set clear expectations. So again, use a clear call to action that aligns with your message. You don't want someone reading through your ad, clicking the call to action button only to find out that it's not anything what they were expecting based on the ad that they just saw. So you want to build trust with your audience, and you can do that by remaining clear and concise. So choose standout, intuitive words that align with your creative and copy, such as register, download, and so on. And then our tip number 5 is think mobile first. So over 70% of our traffic comes from mobile users. So make sure your content and landing pages are mobile friendly. So some tips include, making sure your visuals translate well to a small screen. Consider using vertical images or square images so that it's a better viewing experience for that mobile user. And tip 6 is tailored to the audience. So you want your prospective customers to know that the content is for them and appeals to their pain points. So keep in mind that you're competing against, all content in news feeds. So make it easy for them to know that that content was designed and meant for them. Such as the examples we see here, like, are you a CPA? This will pull someone in when there's no denying that it applies to their life. And so for the rest of the tips, I'm going to pass it over to my teammate, Maddie.
Thanks, Marley. So for tip 7, we would like you to add some urgency. So highlighting offer deadlines or limited time promotions in your copy, image, or video of your ad. It's a great way to create a sense of urgency and assist your audience to act now, while also increasing your conversion rate and decreasing the cost. We can, use dates to drive that demand. So use dates. Also, don't forget to clearly articulate the dates and deadlines. Additionally, this strategy comes in really handy if it's the end of the year or quarter and you're looking to get that final push to meet your organization's goals. And tip 8, tap into the aspirational mindset. At LinkedIn, we are very lucky to be a platform where our members don't come to just kill time. Our members are here to learn, network, and be inspired. So we urge you to use your campaigns to help your audience reflect on themselves, realize their potential, and always be pushing to be better. As well as, when you're doing that, identify the opportunities. So offering statistics around job growth, workforce gaps, or potential earning power to your audience can show the positive return on their investment. These statistics can lead to the member wanting to know more or conducting their own research before converting. And tip 9 is to be creative. It's no secret that LinkedIn is a professional social network, so we understand that you'll want to button up your creative and campaigns as well as make them compliant. But think about the creative that has stuck with you in the past. We're guessing it's not a simple Google text ad. It's most likely something with a powerful creative image and an impactful message. So photography, color palettes, graphics, typography, all of those can set your brand apart from the rest of your competitors with a thoughtful strategy. So we recommend auditing the types of creatives you and your top competitors are putting into market, and just seeing how you can just maybe one up or make a small change to increase that conversion rate or CTR, and just step out from the rest. And so then, you know, also just saying to make a small change, definitely don't want you to veer away from your brand. But if your brand has powerful colors and themes, use them to your advantage and build that brand consistency and recall with LinkedIn. If your brand takes on a less is more strategy, though, maybe use your creative to test small intrigues that could assist the brand in the long run and potentially change, you know, your color palettes or whatnot through A/B testing. And tip number 10 is to lean on your thought leaders. So content is king. Not sure who said that. Joking. It was Bill Gates in 1996 in an essay about where he expects to see the real money made on the internet. If your team has experts willing to speak to thoughtful content, use them. Videos, webinars, essays, articles, etc. They're all wonderful examples of content to position your organization as a thought leader. There are roughly 5.6 billion searches done on Google every day with people looking to research, learn, and find solutions to problems. And I know we're not Google, but that's just an example to show that people are consistently and actively looking for useful content. If you're creating it, if you aren't creating it, someone else is, and they're most likely going to get that business that you wish you had. And then if your team has experts willing to speak to thoughtful content, circulate it as much as you can on your company page and organically. So, you know, people know the problems that you have solutions for. And don't forget to create a retargeting audience off of people who have visited your company page to ensure that you're re-engaging your users and moving them from those members down the funnel from consideration to conversion. And my last little takeaway is 10 quick ways to multiply creative assets. So going back to our very first creative tip, which was run 4 variations of content per campaign. We understand that sometimes getting creative and content from your brand team or your designers is like pulling teeth. So we have put together 10 quick ways to multiply creative assets. I'm not going to go through all 10 of them with you, but my 2 favorites are using a different CTA button with the same copy, as well as A/B testing the same image with or without text overlays. All of these bullets are quick ways to get you to the 4 variation rule, as well as get quick learnings on what your audience does and doesn't like, want, or need from your brand.
Great. Thank you so much, Marley and Maddie. If you haven't guessed it, it's time for another trivia question. So again, feel free to drop your response in the chat, and the first answer we see will win a fabulous prize. So easy. Share one creative best practice tip that you will implement. And I'm going to ask.
We got Mackenzie. Mackenzie said, set clear expectations.
Great. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. And
all right,
Maddie.
Dana, we're going to give it to you also. Dana said 4 creatives per campaign instead of 3.
Awesome.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Dana. Okay, great. So we have about 9 minutes left. So we do have a couple more slides, but I do want to also provide an opportunity if there are any questions in the chat that might have come through. Dylan or Maddie, do you see any additional questions?
None as of right now, but if anyone does want to ask one live, you're welcome to, or in the chat. Otherwise, you know where to reach us. We're very accessible, so you could continue the questions even after the webinar.
Perfect. Thanks, Dylan.
We'll give it another maybe 30 seconds, make sure no one's finishing typing and we cut off before they hit send. Looks like that'll do it.
Okay, great. So, bonus section. I know that Maddie and Marley did a great job walking through some sponsored content best practices, but we know that as much as we all love sponsored content, and just the impact that you can have in the feed, we know that message ads are also another form of content that advertisers love, just due to that one-to-one opportunity to reach your prospects or to retarget to members who may have submitted a lead gen form or may have visited your page. So we do want to spend some time talking through some best practices for message ads. So sorry for all the copy. This is not following best practices, a lot of copy on the slide. But similar to what Maddie and Marley were saying earlier with sponsored content, you do also want to make sure that you are concise and impactful with your message when it comes to message ads. We know that you can add up to 1,500 characters, but what we find in terms of best practice, or I'm sorry, top performing message ads is actually when advertisers are a bit more concise. We also recommend, where possible, avoiding the use of like non-alphanumeric characters in your hyperlinks. Sometimes it can break and there can be some issues. We also recommend that you really personalize the message. So something as simple as using macros to include a member's, first and last name or their company name can really have a positive impact in terms of the engagement with this ad format. And again, making it personal. We do find that when you use a person as a sender, we do find that the open rate tends to be much higher. I understand that there are certain times where companies either don't have authorization to use a member, and from a brand guideline perspective, they only want to use the company. So don't necessarily think that that should prevent you from using message ads. But if you do have that flexibility, we do recommend using a person as a sender. And, similar to what Maddie and Marley were speaking about earlier about having multiple variations, that's also something that you can A/B test. You can A/B test having a member as your sender in a message ad campaign, and you can also have your company as a sender as a message ad campaign, and you can compare open rates, lead submissions and things like that. When it comes to the subject, we also recommend keeping the subject lines short and impactful. Again, to set those expectations in the same way that you want to set member expectations before they click off of LinkedIn to go to your landing page or submitting a lead gen form, you also want to set expectations for the member when they decide to open your message ad to know what the content will be. So if you are promoting a boot camp or a certification program, be sure to include that in the subject line, again, just to give that member the heads up as to the content that they should expect. Something else I've seen work really well with some advertisers I've worked with is using questions. So something as simple as, again, kind of going back to the theme of a boot camp or a certification program, are you ready to elevate your career? Something like that, where you can kind of spark somebody's interest. As well as including anything that's unique about the program. If you're if you have top job outcomes, or if you've won an award, to include those distinctive attributes within the message ad itself. So just a couple of quick tips. And so again, I'll give it a second if anyone has any additional questions. But like I said before, a lot of these product enhancements and changes have actually come from, customer feedback. So if you have any feedback, whether it was touched on today or just a general concern that you've had or run into in working with Campaign Manager, please reach out to your rep, and we are more than happy to pass that feedback onto the product team. And maybe one day your feedback will be featured in one of these presentations. So last call for questions.
Nothing new in the chat.
Okay, awesome. So I will stop sharing my screen and I will stop recording. More than happy to give everyone 4 minutes back of their day. But again, we thank you so much